Entertain a motion to approve the regular agenda.
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion been made and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None, motion passed. Consent agenda, is there any questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and second. Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Motion passed. The public is now invited to be heard on matters not on the agenda, limited to 5 minutes. Is there anyone that wants to speak? Please say your name and address. Thank you.
May I be recognized? Chris.
We need a name and address stated, John?
I will.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
My name is Brian Paulson, 206 4th Street Southwest. Speaking here tonight because I have some concerns about the statutory issues with the sale of the bonds and the SIP. So in your packet I handed out there, just the first thing we don't have to go over, but it's the statutory requirement. So the highlighted portion, the B is for the bonds, and then the second page you'll see for the capital improvement plan, they both have a requirement for a public hearing. And tonight, later on, you'll see in the packet, one of the items that says that pursuant to the resolution adopted by the City Council on March 17th, 2025, following a duly noticed public hearing, there was not a hearing. So this packet I just referenced you have for tonight. I didn't put it in the packet I provided. So then the next page on there, you'll see the public notice from the newspaper. So I have here February 27th. There's public notices. So I highlighted it. It's included in your packet. So that was for both the bonds and the SIP, which I think they should have been separate, but regardless, so that was the public notice. The next page, you'll see the meeting agenda from the March 17th meeting. And after the notice, you have 14 to 28 days to have the public hearing. The only meeting that the city held during that period was the March 17th meeting, which was also noted in the public notice. You'll see that they did have an item on there for the capital improvement plan, and they had nothing listed under public hearings. Next page, you'll see the meeting minutes from that meeting. And there is the number 7 police station capital improvement plan with the 2 resolutions that were approved. Nowhere in there does it say that there's a public hearing, and if you would like to trust me, I did watch the video again. There was no public hearing during that portion. And then also during the minutes, public hearings, 6 o'clock, none were listed. So then the next item on there, I have the resolution, which in 1.02 references before the approval of the plan and issuance of any general obligation bonds under the act, the city is required to hold a public hearing on the plan and issuance of bonds. And in 105, it says on this date, would be the date of the meeting, the council held a public hearing on the plan and issuance of bonds, so on and so forth, which that was never held. And also in the packet from Ellers, building communities is what we do. I know what they're doing is their bread and butter. And in here it even says, council must hold a public hearing regarding the issuance of SIP bonds to obtain public comment on the matter. And in my opinion, they were sold under false pretense. So I'm not sure what you guys want to do with this information, but I'm just here, and it's something I noticed. I think it's a serious violation for $12-some million of bonds that we sold. Thank you.
Anyone else? Anybody online?
Jackie, you got some?
Sorry, I didn't understand what he was asking, sorry.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
Jackie Tukalski, I'm at 107 Columbus Avenue North. And what I want to address is the parking from 107 Columbus Avenue North to 115. It's a residential street right across from St. Wentz School. This is several pictures showing in front of my house where vehicles have been parked. I've owned that residence for 3.5 years. And see there's descriptions of the vehicles, the parking, and what's included on the back, just some, got a couple of police reports here. I do call once in a while when I can't get them to move, can't locate the drivers. I was called a very nice name by one person.
When was that?
That was the last one, it's in there. I asked her to move her vehicle because I needed to go to work, and she said it was not important. So this is the area right here. My house is the X, and this is the area in concern. I've talked to Matt and Brenda about this. The houses are very close. If there was a fire, it's gonna jump. I don't know if you're aware of this. I've taken fire classes. I was an EMT. You have 11 seconds to get out of a room when a fire starts, and it's gonna jump from one room to another room, which is no time at all. That's why people perish. 11 seconds. There's a house fire here, it's gonna go from one house to another. Some of these houses don't even have driveways, so the street is the only place for these vehicles to park. And St. Wentz has their own private parking lot. They do not wanna park there. I parked there when I worked at the hospital. I got 3 orange cones behind my vehicle. They asked me to move, and that's how they asked me to move. And that's when Columbus Avenue was under assessment, road assessment. They do not allow anyone else to park there, only their faculty members, but their faculty members can park anywhere in this town. 280 days plus, 9 hours a day, I have someone parked in front of my house. I cannot use my front door. I'm an independent contractor, can't access my front door. So I don't know how to fix this. I've tried a lot of different options, a lot of different ones. I don't know if you noticed one of the pictures in here, it's a school bus, and it's parking, and then it's also another bus. That street is used by the ambulance. It's one of the main, this one right here. The ambulance goes to the hospital. Look at how much they're gonna have to slow down to get down to that street, to get to the hospital with your loved ones. Look at how tight that is. Every second counts. Every morning when I open my shades, I've got vehicles parked in front of my house. This red truck was a contractor that was sitting in front of my driveway parked for 3 hours. Then when he was told by the police that he can't block my driveway, then he parked in front of my house, blocking my house, my front door for 3 days, and he spilled some kind of white paint or something on the road and stained the road. I don't know if it's some kind of a joke or what it is. I don't know what we can fix it. If there's some type of, when they do like around the schools for sports parking, around the residential areas, I'm not sure. I would just like it to be fixed and be a little bit more appreciative. You know, I don't know. It is residential. It needs to be treated with a little bit more respect. Thank you. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jackie.
City engineer project update. Matt, are you doing that, or are we getting Chris online?
Well, wait, are we gonna address?
Yeah, should we
Issues?
discuss that?
A public hearing, or for this part of the meeting, we do not normally.
Yeah, we
just
usually
hear.
wait till the end.
We can talk at the end if you like,
Okay.
but certainly we want to address it.
Okay.
Matt?
Good, okay. Just so you know, the 2024 project has a bunch of improvements that need to be done. We call it on a punch list. They should be out this week. Starting that punch list, that's some of that stuff we talked about, Sean. Your concerns, hopefully those start getting addressed starting this week.
Did you let the neighbors know, or the people that were?
We sent weekly updates.
Oh, you did? Okay.
And send them out to anybody that signed up, so.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, this year's project, 2025 project's moving along really well, especially with the nice weather. They're still working on Lincoln Avenue North, water and sewer, and storm for the most part are done up to Second Street, and they kind of jump north of Second Street. So that's moving along really nice. 12th Avenue Southeast by Settlers Park. They worked on the sidewalk all of last week, poured on Friday, and I haven't been out there today, but I know they were going to be out there again today. So 12th Avenue is should be completed by the end of the week. That's kind of what I got, unless you guys have any questions.
I got questions, either Josh or, you, over there, right in front of Jackie's house, she kinda didn't mention it, but, the boulevard there, it's down a good inch, from the soil. And the grass itself, I have no idea how you're gonna mow that grass when the sidewalk is. So I'm
In
just,
front of, on Columbus you're talking? In front of your
Yep.
property?
They already reported it once, but it's sunk, so between, H&R Block and my house, there was actually another, house there, they actually did the plumbing and the sewer there, because they found, really old, brick there, and it's sunk already once, and I don't know what they're gonna do, if they're gonna have to pour that again, the sidewalk, because it's sunk again this winter.
Yep, I'll take a look at it.
Yeah.
That's still under warranty, so,
and I would look at that whole boulevard all the way down Columbus until the hospital.
yep, definitely will.
Thank you.
Anything else, Matt or Josh? Okay, next item, Josh, do you want to take that?
Yeah, I will, let, Becky certainly take this. This would be the Series 2025 A Police Station bond sale results, and she can share those with you all.
Good evening, Rebecca Kurtz with Ellers. Maybe I have a procedural question.
Okay.
Based on the public comment, I don't have answers for that right now. I would be happy to go and speak with the city's attorney if there are questions before you act on this, or would you like to move forward on acting on it?
I guess let's share
Okay,
the information and we can go from there.
okay. So as you know, we took bids this morning in our office for the Series 2025 A bonds for the 10 million. You'll see the number changed, but 10,225,000 general obligation capital plan bonds for the new police station. We did receive 4 bids, and before I get into that, I do want to cover one thing regarding your rating. We did a rating call with Standard & Poor's, and this rating applied to both of the bond issues. The complete report is in the packet for the 25A bonds. But I do want to take just a couple minutes and highlight a couple things, and I can answer any questions. First, I will say congratulations. Standard & Poor's did assign its AA long-term rating to the city's, both the Series A and the Series B bonds that were sold today. In addition, they affirmed the city's AA rating for all of the city's outstanding general obligation debt. And again, the report details a lot more of what supports that rating, but I want to start with saying congratulations. That always is a testament to the work that you as the council and also the staff has done for managing the city and the finances. Standard & Poor's specifically calls out the city maintaining high reserves and seeing a strong population and market value growth in recent years as one of the factors for continuing with the AA rating. They also talk about the stability and predictability to the city's financial performance. The rating further reflects their assessment of the city's growing local economy, and during the call we talked about the increase in market value and some of the new developments that are currently under construction or that have been proposed for future years. Standard Poor's calls out the available reserves that have been sustained above 60% of revenues, and their expectation that the city will continue with its consistent financial position. And then they talk about the financial management framework, and that is a metric that Standard & Poor's uses that includes, in their words, proactive policies and practices that encompass your comprehensive budgeting process, the reporting that the staff provides the council, your long-term capital planning, the investment policies, and then again, your fund balance, and it does go on from there. So with that, again, just congratulations on maintaining that AA rating from Standard & Poor's. So with that, as I mentioned, we did receive 4 bids for this issue. Baird out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin was the low bid. They had a bid or a true interest cost of 4.4%, and the true interest cost includes the interest rate and then factors in the cost of issuance and some of the fees connected with issuance of the bonds, and it is the standard metric to award debt issues. When I was here about a month or so ago, we had estimated about 4.8%, so it is lower than the estimate. I also want to call out, though, as I mentioned, the bond size did change. We had anticipated issuing $10,430,000. We did receive a premium bid on this, which means that we received more funding than what was needed. And with that, we were able to then reduce the bond size because it was not needed to fund the project. So with the new bond size of $10,225,000, it saved or provided a difference of about $1 million less than what we were anticipating for principal and interest when I was here about a month ago. I do also want to call out one more thing on this issue, and we were directed to use the $380,000 in cash from the building fund for this. I just want to point out, if there are specific questions on that, $320,000 of that cash would be used to pay the interest payment that is due on February of 2026. And then that balance of $60,000 was applied to reduce the bond issue. So that's how that was applied. With that, there are details in there in your packet with all of the bids that were received. There is a sources and uses with the updated debt service schedule, and then there also is updated tax impacts after that for various valued homes and commercial properties.
Do you want to go right into the next bond issue?
I guess let's discuss this one first, and then if there are any questions regarding this one in particular, I guess. And then if you'd like to dive into the next one, we certainly can, but any vote should probably happen individually.
Yes, there are 2 different votes for tonight.
And Scott's not on the horn somewhere?
Nope, I can certainly try to call him if you would like, but I guess I would leave that up to the council at this point.
I don't, why delay the vote on this stuff?
How long is the bid good for? Or the,
The underwriters would anticipate knowing tomorrow morning if you move forward with accepting it.
Rick, what is your concern that,
We are gonna get the vote on them, right?
Correct.
Tonight?
That was the intent, yes, was to vote tonight.
Okay, and then this has nothing to do with this.
I believe Mr. Paulson's argument was that, these bonds were sold illegally and cannot be approved. But that would be up to the council as to how they would want to use that information that he has provided.
Yeah, without Scott telling us not to vote on it, I am more comfortable sticking to the agenda and vote on it. I don't know about you guys.
fine moving forward?
I think that Mr. Paulson brought up some very good arguments that maybe we are acting in haste. So I know that they're looking forward to an answer tomorrow, but in reality, how long is this?
So in reality, they, it is standard or typical that they would hold their bid for the day. It is really based on where the market is today. So they would accept basically if you're not, I don't want this to sound like a threat, but if you do not take action today, we cannot guarantee the rate that you have. If you choose to move forward with awarding that, then this rate would be the rate. I recognize there are a couple questions that we may want to check with Scott. If you do choose to deny the bids or not award them, then we could go back and resell them, or we could work with Baird and negotiate and see if we can keep that interest rate. But I cannot guarantee that. Because again, it really looks, the underwriters look at where the market is today, and it changes from day to day.
Right. So have you ever been in a situation where something like this has arisen, where it had been approved and then all of a sudden legal counsel says that we in fact did do something wrong and that we awarded it illegally? Are we, what does that do? I know you're not an attorney, but have you seen a situation?
I
Once
have
we approve
had,
this, are we locked into this?
I have had situations where councils have not approved, but I have not run into this situation. And I guess if there are questions or concerns, it would be something I would want your city attorney to
Right,
weigh in on.
I understand.
Can you see?
That, I guess, is that something you guys would like me to check on? I mean, I will certainly give a call if the council would like me to.
We could just do it and then call the vote. I mean, that way he can opt out of it.
I'm against the project anyway, so I'm a no vote. So I mean, if you three think you're gonna vote yes, then
I'm good with it. If she's
I just
good
don't
with
want
it,
you to get us
are you
in
good
a
with it?
situation that we've accepted the money and then legally we did something wrong and in fact we can't.
Well, I would hate to, not take action, and then tomorrow find out that there was the appropriate, hearings held.
Yeah, I would too. It's, this isn't anything new. We do these every year for street projects and other buildings and whatnot. And I guess I don't recall if we had public hearings or not, or if they were required or what, but I think, given the information that Mr. Paulson provided, that it made me think about it, that maybe we're doing something out of the norm, but.
I will also say that, and again, this is ultimately a council decision. If you do move forward with approving it this evening, the closing date is scheduled at the end of May, and if we needed to adjust that to have some additional time or resolve any concerns, there is some time. Again, I would need to talk with your legal counsel to know exactly what I mean by saying that.
Have you ever seen a city approve something and then not close on it? Again, I know you're not an attorney, so you're not giving us legal advice.
Yeah,
I'm just
no,
curious.
I have, in my experience, I have not been in a situation where they have not closed. There have been situations, excuse me, where the closing has been delayed for a variety of reasons.
Okay.
Have you, finished explaining, number 7? Because we could make that resolution right now if you want.
I just want to make a couple comments if I
Okay.
could. Certainly, as Sean mentioned, I get my interest peaked when Brian presents information like this, but it's certainly not anything I could reasonably digest in a matter of minutes, let alone read it that quickly. So then I kind of fall back on the process that we followed, and Josh, I'm understood that our attorney's been involved in this throughout the process and has given us approval to move forward, in a sense, by being involved in the process. And our professional financial consultant's been involved in the process and has deemed it acceptable to do what we've done. So I guess I would be interested just to, if you think it's possible, to call Scott to get assurance that he feels okay with it, if we can do that.
Yeah, I mean,
I would entertain a pause in the meeting if you think you need time for it. But,
Yeah, I mean, I can certainly try to get him on the phone if the council wants to.
But
pause the meeting.
regardless of that, I guess just based on the information that's provided in front of me, I guess I'd pursue it because there's more risk than not in my mind than doing it. But based on the information that's in front of me anyway, but. So if you feel that's an option, I would entertain
Giving them a
A
call.
recess?
a recess for a minute or
Yeah.
15 minutes.
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay, I'll call for a recess.
Okay.
I'm, gonna go up, I'll be right back.
Okay, Scott is in another meeting right now, so I've been texting him, trying to get responses. We certainly see that the meeting was noticed at this point, and you can kind of see who was at the meeting. Without doing further investigation, he says I can't tell exactly whether a hearing was had. His response was that he would recommend approving now, and if we have to do a redo on the hearing or that sort of thing, that can certainly be done, as Becky said, through delaying the closing of the bonds. That was Scott's response.
Any other questions of Josh?
No, I'd like to make the resolution 25-05-05-01, police station, bond sales.
Motion been made, is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve resolution 25050501, ordering the sale of general obligation capital improvement plan bonds, series 2025A. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Motion passed 3-1. Next item. Josh?
Yes, so this next item would be then for the 2025 B, which is the bond sale for the street and utility project taking place this summer.
So again, related to the Series 2025B, you will notice this dollar amount also changed and is $4,655,000. Again, this was issued for the public improvements, and then there's a small piece for about $100,000 for equipment at the golf course. For this, I talked about the rating, so it also carries the AA rating from Standard & Poor's. On this one, we did receive 3 bids. Again, Baird out of Milwaukee was the low bid with a true interest cost of 3.78%. We had estimated about 4.26%, so it was significantly lower than the estimate, about 50 basis points. With this one, because we were able to reduce, we also received a premium and were able to reduce the bond size. And so with that, it is about $214,000 less in total costs because of that premium bid and the way the final cost of issuance came in. With that, again, you will see the details on the bids in there and then the details for the breakdown. With that, again, as a reminder, we did plan to pay, or we are paying for the sanitary sewer portion with cash from the utility fund, then bonded for both the water and the storm pieces of that. We are estimating that the levy is about $240,000 for the first years until the piece of equipment is paid off, and then it is reduced to roughly $215,000 for the balance of it. And again, that is the net levy piece after the utility revenue writes down the levy, and then after the assessments come in as projected. With this one, I am happy to answer questions, but we are recommending awarding to Baird with the true interest cost of 3.78%.
So I, just because of Bruce's banking history, I asked him why the difference in the bond interest rates. Is it solely due because this one's a 15-year and the other one's a 30-year, or?
I think there are a couple pieces of it. One is the difference in time from 15 years to 30 years makes a big difference. Well, with longer term debt, we typically see a higher interest rate.
You do, okay.
So I think that is probably the main driver of that, and that is very common. I would have been surprised if they would have come in at about the same rate.
Okay. It doesn't really have anything to do with the dollar amount. That one was 10.4 million and one's.
That
4.4.
can sometimes have an impact on the interest rate, but I would say the term of it probably impacts more than the dollar amount.
Okay.
A $10 million issue for 10 or 15 years likely would have seen a lower interest rate.
Okay. Thank you.
Josh, is there a resolution number for this one?
This one would be
25-05-052.
02.
25050502.
Any other comments you wanted to make, Becky?
I don't have any comments, but I'm happy to take additional questions.
I don't
Other
have any
questions?
questions. I
Otherwise,
can
I'll
have-
entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 25-05-0502, approving the sale of general obligation bonds, Series 2025B, for street and utility uses.
Second.
Motion's been made and second. Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Motion passed. Thank you, Becky.
Thanks, Rebecca.
Never spent $15 million so quick.
How much?
Almost 15. It was 15.
Item 11, resolutions, conditional use permit. Who's speaking on that, John?
Oh, yes, I will take this. Ken had a band concert to attend this evening. So this is a conditional use permit for Bevcom to allow exterior storage at their new location that they are constructing out at the industrial park on 6th Street Northwest. So a little bit of background. Bevcom did purchase this lot, which is 605 6th Street Northwest, in the industrial park back in December of 2024. They intend to build a structure that is roughly 8,000 square feet to act as an office, shop, and warehouse with an 80 by 120 foot fence for exterior storage on the north side or back of the lot for storage of spools of underground ducting and conduit. The property is zoned I-1 light industrial, and in this district, exterior storage is listed as a conditional use. The property, though, to allow exterior storage must meet the following screening requirements. A single row of deciduous or evergreen trees with a minimum height of 8 feet and a diameter of 2.5 inches to be spaced 40 feet around the perimeter of the property abutting commercial or industrial districts. And the fence must be visually appealing and cohesive with the exterior principal structure. So it must generally match. Staff does recommend that the fence be a chain link fence that is 6 feet tall with vinyl slats for a minimum of 75% opacity. The color of the slat should be similar to the siding of the proposed warehouse so that they match. These screening conditions are very similar to what was provided to Bricks Boat Works on the west side of them there in the industrial park. And there will be about 238 square feet of office space and 7,700 square feet of warehousing space with this, which means that a minimum of 9 parking spaces are required for them. So here's kind of just a pullback of the lot. As you can see, there were 3 general lots remaining in the industrial park, all zoned industrial, and they are the easternmost of those yet to be built on lots. Ultimately, you can see this is kind of their parking area and drive-through with their proposed building, and the fenced-in area will be here on kind of the north side. They are then proposing those trees that meet the tree requirements around the storage here, both up against the parking and then as well as along the perimeter. And just kind of some general shots of what it looks like right now. So this did go to Planning Commission, and Planning Commission also recommended approval of conditional use permit number 1, 2025, to allow exterior storage in the light industrial district at 605 6th Street Northwest with the findings and conditions that are listed in your draft resolution. And I will certainly stand for any questions you may have.
I'll just move it, so moved.
Motion has been made. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve Resolution 25050503, resolution of the New Prague City Council approving conditional use permit C1-2025. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passed. Josh, next.
Yes, I will let Bruce Reimers take this next one.
I'll take the portion at least that pertains to the utilities portion of it. It was brought to my attention in regards to bulk water sales. In other words, this is water sales to contractors, primarily seeding companies and or contractors that are using water to do excavations around town. Power lines east of town here is a good example of it, or hydro seeding companies that purchase water from us. It was brought to my attention by actually some of the communities around us that our water rates were considerably less than kind of the going rate. I brought this to the attention of the Utilities Commission, and they decided that we should raise our rates to the $35 per thousand, effective upon approval of the City Council. Josh, were you gonna take the?
Yeah, I can take the other one. Currently, if you were to remodel your bathroom, we do require a couple different permits. Obviously with a couple different of those permits, we got a few different fees that go with it. We are looking at just simplifying that while you will still need to get a building permit and a plumbing fee, that it would just be a flat fee to try to make the process simpler for people who are coming in to remodel their bathroom. And so we are recommending a flat fee of $110 plus the state surcharge for those reviews.
What's the amount of the state surcharge?
I believe that depends, since it is a plumbing permit. I'm not entirely sure what that is off the top of my head. I can shoot Ken a text here real quick.
No, it's not. I can ask him some other time. I was just curious.
Yeah.
Or why there is even a state
Yeah, why there's a state
surcharge.
surcharge.
So I believe, yeah, plumbing permits in the state of Minnesota have to go through the state, at least in some sort of review, I believe, and that would be the state surcharge.
Okay.
Any other questions?
The only one I do is I understand charging $35 for private companies and whatnot that are using our water, but I'm worried what this is gonna do to the golf course. I see that they're part of that rate increase from $8.50 to $35. I don't know how many thousands of gallons that the golf course uses, but I'm a little concerned at what that cost is gonna do to the budget that we've already approved.
John, I can clarify that. The golf course is on a standard metered water consumption rate, so it does not affect the golf course. This is only for contractors that purchase water in tanker trucks.
Oh, I'm sorry, I saw the yellow and you're right, that's bulk water charge.
Yeah,
The golf course is right above it, so that
Yes.
$465 per
yep,
stays the
that
same.
stays the same.
Okay, all right.
No,
I'm sorry, that was my fault. I looked at that wrong.
I didn't realize people actually did that, back up a tank truck and fill it up at a hydrant. And it's a dedicated hydrant and
actually, we do a couple of spots in town, and then we've got a couple of fill stations on our city buildings as well.
right. Any other questions?
They do use fire hydrants, though, right? I mean,
Designated only, so we have metering on them,
so like the one by Coburn's when I see truck,
Correct.
that's one of them?
correct?
Okay, so you're aware of that, so nobody's doing it illegally here?
Yeah, we have one there, and we have one over by the church on the west side of town.
Okay.
What
And
about that, go ahead.
does your staff have to be present?
No, it's done on an honor system, and then we have forms there that they fill out. Obviously, they do have to we do training with them, and then we also have them go through the process of the proper filling, so, yep. And we have to put on backflow prevention and everything on those individual sites to protect the public water system.
Thank you.
And I noticed a lot of the contractors go over to that, the fire hydrant over by the tin house over there on Second Street Northwest. Right over there across from cardboard recycling.
Fire department?
Or no, there's a fire hydrant and all the contractors that have been doing these roads, it's
That would be for our construction projects. Yeah. It's not set up this year, but sometimes we will move them around for large construction projects that are for the city.
Oh, yeah, but you did meter, I noticed that over all these side streets, you did meter all that.
We did have a site for the contractors for the CIP projects.
Thank you.
Entertain a motion to approve.
I'll approve Resolution 25050504, the fee schedule amendment.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passed. Josh?
Yeah, next item, I guess jumping down into general business, talking city hall hours. I know that as I shared last week, our last meeting, this has been on the city council's visioning document for a few years now. And so, I was bringing it forward so we could, potentially act on it this year. The city council did, vote to table it though. They wanted to hear some of, Mayor Jerk's ideas. He is currently on vacation this week, enjoying some time with his family. But he'd share those ideas with me before he left. And the two kind of things that he thought of were to keep city hall hours as they are, but allow employees to kind of adjust their hours that still provide for coverage at city hall throughout the hours, throughout the summer. And in the same vein, even taking that so far as to possibly working 4 10-hour shifts throughout the week as long as coverage happened. So as I kind of stated in the memo, some of those ideas have actually currently been in use or been used at various times throughout the last few years. Department heads certainly work within their departments, coordinating hours throughout the year depending on the work that's accomplished, to kind of maximize that. And I guess when I've been kind of thinking about city hall hours, while some may certainly view it as a benefit for employees, the way I've been kind of approaching it is trying to make city hall more accessible. And so if that is what we are trying to approach it in, I do believe that the hours I recommended would do that. That being said, it's not certainly an idea that I'm married to. And so if the city council would kind of like to just leave things as they are, I'm certainly open to that as well. This was me attempting to tackle some of the stuff on the visioning list and just kind of get it out there and say, we can certainly go forward with this or we can leave it as it is. So I guess at that, if this is certainly something the council would still like to consider, I do kind of offer that same recommendation of opening up earlier throughout the week to allow people either before work or contractors getting in here as early as possible. Otherwise, well, I'm certainly all right leaving city hall hours as they are. They've certainly been this way for as long as I'm aware of, so.
If you changed them, how is that gonna be fair amongst the employees? I mean, if you have to still require coverage, so one person gets 4 10s for a week and then the next person?
So I would say if we changed them, the change as it is, would allow if city hall employees basically work from open to close each day to still work the same amount of hours. There would certainly be that city hall would close early on Fridays, and unless a department head has worked something out with an employee here or there that might have a special situation, that would certainly put them at their 40 hours when city hall closed, and so there wouldn't have to be any rotating schedules here or there. That was the intention kind of shortening up Friday then to ensure that we didn't have to rotate schedules or that sort of thing, while still allowing that earlier time in the morning.
Well, I guess I'm not as worried about the contractors coming in at 7 as I am the general public that needs access to it, that might need to come in on a Friday afternoon and just work kind of the 8 to 4:30 normal hours, what they've been used to. I don't know how many general contractors, I mean, building permits, I think, have slowed here recently. But I don't know how many contractors come in to do, to get things, but if they have to wait till 8 or instead of 7, I'm not worried as much about them.
I'm just wondering who's gonna benefit if we even change it?
Well, I think it's a perk for our employees, especially this is just proposed for summer, right? I've worked in situations where some employees may opt to take, that half day on a Monday as opposed to shutting down City Hall, on that half day Friday, so that it would still allow coverage for all of those hours. Something like that could be hammered out. I think it would still show that we would like to support our employees for the summer and give them some extra time off to enjoy, time with their family or outdoors. They could even take that half day on a Monday morning, so they have a little longer weekend. I mean, there's maybe some more creative ways to kind of think about it, but still have City Hall open for our constituents, which, to your point, Sean, I agree. There are constituents that maybe get that half day off on Friday from their job, and then they want to come into City Hall and be able to handle a permit, and it would be nice to have those hours open for them.
Well, as I've said before, I'm comfortable with it on a trial basis, not knowing what the actual flow of people coming in and out of the building and knowing how many people come in at Friday afternoon. We haven't really tabulated that for.
And I do know staff, since the last meeting, I know it's only been 2 Fridays, but staff did kind of keep track these last 2 Fridays. And it looks like the majority of our Friday afternoon traffic really was utility payments. Someone came in to buy a golf permit, golf course or golf cart permit, that sort of thing. But yeah, like I said, this is certainly just something I was bringing forward because it was on the list of ideas. But
The utility payments, I know they can pay at the window.
correct,
As opposed to putting it in the box that's outside of City Hall?
that is also an option.
Yes, yeah. So we had a couple of people coming in, they just prefer to interact with the person?
Correct, and I think Robin would probably be able to speak better to that, but I would guess that it's probably the same people every month that just prefer to come in and write a check and hand it over.
Okay.
The past Friday that we did have a visitor, bills weren't due yet. I think it's just that I'm walking by, I have time, stop in, say hello. So certainly that customer service level, but there is the option to do the box. Some people might want a receipt if they come in, so.
Okay, thank you.
I've never had a complaint, so I'm kind of whatever you guys want.
I've never had a complaint, but I know I'll hear from people that'll.
But it's also, it's on a trial basis, so it's not, it's one summer, where you're talking from now.
It'd be from Memorial Day to Labor Day.
Okay, okay. So, if we do have a lot of trouble with that, then we could just stop those hours and go back to our normal hours, even if it weren't Labor Day.
Correct.
Yeah, yeah. I know. I guess I think it's just worth a try. It's nice for our employees, and we're still providing plenty of hours to be open. But again, if something a little more creative can be thought about, so that those hours are fully from at least 8 to 4:30. I don't know how that is going to be a headache for your scheduling, so that's the only thing.
Mm-hmm.
We've never tried this before?
Not since I've been here, and I guess speaking to longer-term staff.
Matt, Bruce, never? Oh.
And like I said, I know at a previous position down in southeast Minnesota, it's much more prevalent. Most city halls go to some sort of, but around here is a little less. I think, like I said, we did some research, Northfield does, and I believe Faribault did, but those are kind of the local ones.
Well, and those are larger cities, and they would probably get a lot more traffic, so, yeah. Is it being well received by your employees to have that Friday afternoon off?
From what I've heard, I guess, it seems to kind of a hit or miss. I know, obviously with employees, especially employees with younger kids, there's daycare considerations and having to line that up. some employees are more open to it, others really like their current daycare schedule and don't know if they can shift. Again, that depends on your daycare employer or whoever's providing the daycare. So, with most stuff, there's some that, hey, that would be awesome. There's others that are, this is one more headache that they've got to figure out.
Okay. So taking that in consideration, and the office is closed at 11 on Friday, would that individual that has the daycare issues be able to stay and work, or?
And I think that's just something we'd have to work through. I mean, because there's obviously some jobs that more in-person, front-facing works better, and other jobs where people do have certain jobs you can step away. So that would just be something we would certainly have to explore if that was available.
Is there a concern that some people are going to get this perk and other people aren't going to be able to take advantage of it?
I would guess that also is always a concern you have. But I mean, we already, departments across the city work varying hours. I know our public works guys start the day earlier and end the day earlier than most. So wastewater actually already work 410s, and that sort of issue. So
This can be a clerical thing. Do you have an action in mind? I mean, it kind of says the recommendations and it just,
yeah, so the action mind is, if you're down on page 2 of the memo, just mentions Monday through Thursday, 7 a.m. to 4:30, Fridays 7 to 11. Would be the one that I guess if we wanted to try something, that's the one I would recommend trying. But again, if there's hesitancy or there's it's not to it, we certainly don't need to do it either. And I can remove it from the visioning list.
Any other discussion?
Why was it not, how did that get on the visioning list? I didn't know that was an
I
issue.
didn't even see it.
So I guess it's been on there for like 3 years now, and it's gotten bumped every year because we've never really gotten to it.
Who would have brought that up, though?
Not me.
So I
recall any of
mean,
those.
when the list first got put together, there was the discussion, and there's also, hey, staff, like what do you guys think we should put on this list? And so we brought a whole long list of stuff, brought them all in, and that was one of them that I guess made it through to get on the list, and then got bumped for a few years.
Now, for the sake of moving on, I'll make the motion. Sounds good. So moved.
Rick, would you clarify what your motion is?
Yeah, you want me to read the whole paragraph?
No, just what it is.
Yeah, just to move to summer hours of.
Yeah, we'll, move to the summer hours temporarily to check out the, how it worked.
Okay, motion.
I think recommended summer hours, Monday through Friday, 7 to 11 to 4:30, and then Friday, 7 to 11.
Yeah, I can put that on there if you want.
You meant Monday through Thursday?
Monday
7
through
a.m.
Thursday, 7 to 4:30. Yeah.
Motion's been made. Is there a second? I will second. Motion's been made and seconded. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? I heard 4-0, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
If there's a problem, we'll just change it.
I would ask,
If there's a
though,
problem, it's
if
just the
staff
perception.
could tabulate activity for the new hours. How much
Yeah.
activity are we getting at
From
7 o'clock or,
7 o'clock in the morning to 8.
yeah, whatever the new frame is?
Okay, we can certainly do that.
Keep your mind open for comments on it.
Because obviously we have employees that we want to, if there are ways we can accommodate that, but we're really looking at from the customer service standpoint, are we actually improving our customer service by doing this, or are we not? So are the new hours to the benefit of our community, or are they not? And so we can answer that question at the end of this trial period.
Yep, we will do that.
I didn't mean to be so sloppy.
Maybe
I
staff
guess.
can invite people to come in the morning.
How are we gonna communicate the new hours to?
So, yeah, I guess we'd probably put some signs up on the doors, certainly. Yeah, I don't know if we'll be able to get
We
the
should
first.
put it on the website.
First newsletter, but yeah, website, social media, maybe even get a hold of,
In the
the radio
utility
station,
bill
radio
newsletter.
station. I think the utility bills just went out, was it last week for the new month, but we can certainly get them out in the next one, but yeah, certainly try to.
Well,
get
that's
up
when
all
I'm
the
gonna hear
normal
about it,
spots.
is Friday at 1 when somebody walks in to do something and they didn't. That's
Pat's gonna publish it, I'm sure.
not it.
Yeah, this will be front page news, so.
I don't know that there's any problem, since the newspapers are official, communication device of putting something in the newspaper.
I will certainly check to see if there would be an advertising charge.
Well, nevertheless,
Yeah.
I mean, that's our official communication tool of the city of New Prague, so that's where we
yeah.
should post it.
Yeah, well, we'll explore all avenues to make sure it gets out. I'm sure someone will stop in on that first Friday and not enjoy the fact that they can't get in the building. But
That's a good clue.
2026 audit services, Josh or Robin, are you?
yes, I'll just pass this one off to Robin.
So in your packet, I've attached a memo and a 3-year proposal from Abdo. But the memo states just how we've been doing our due diligence with other services. We've been with Abdo quite some time. We actually have a great relationship with them. I think they do a really good job. They know our city very well. And I think they present well and are able to speak well to the council after the work that they've done based on the history and the amount of time that they've been with us. But again, going back to that due diligence, what we would be proposing is that we accept year 1 of their 3-year proposal and then go out for RFP for services for fiscal year 2026 and beyond. So auditing the 26 year in 2027. So that Abdo would still complete the audit for the 2025 year, presenting in 2026.
Are there changes in the services offered from what we had this year till next year?
Nope, it's all the same. It has been for probably 9 years or so that I've been tracking it.
I did read the letter, but is there a justification, or what is the argument for going 5.4%? Is there no new services, so is that what they feel the cost of providing
Right,
the
yeah.
services?
In our last 3-year proposal, which I could pull up, because like I said, I have all that data, there was a larger increase in that first year and then a lesser in year 2 and year 3. So,
Was it similar, 5%?
I'll pull it up here if there's other conversation, to give me a second to grab the.
The reason I ask, obviously, is because the inflation rate that everyone is trying to achieve is much less than 5%.
And is it,
Not to say that that's the dictating factor, but it's our job to question.
So in the last 3-year proposal that we approved was for audit years 2022 through 2024, the one we just completed. First year, 2022, was a 6.01% increase over 2021. And then it was a 2.03 and a 2.08.
is there a reason that we couldn't go out for a RFP right now?
Although it seems early in the calendar year, by the time we go for RFP and try to get acquainted with a new audit firm, it just feels a little
Rushed?
and a little tight. So just to allow ample time and have another, I think, like thorough, good working audit, I'd like to allow enough time, should we choose a different vendor out of an RFP, to establish our information and our books with them, so.
Okay.
So no additional services, so the increase in our cost is exactly the 5.4% increase then?
Correct,
No other additional services, right?
correct, a true increase of 5.4%, comparing apples to apples. So over the course of 3 years, the proposal they've presented, this term is 12.57, and the last 3 years prior to that was 10.11, combined for all 3.
I can see supporting it, given my understanding that the last 2 years were probably well below inflation rates. And so that might be a factor as far as being able to support this.
With that being said, I'll make a motion to approve 2026 audit services for fiscal year 2025 with Abdo, and then going out for RFP for subsequent years.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and second. Any other questions? Those in favor say please aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you.
Please, aye.
Yeah, please aye. Josh, you taking the next item?
Yes, compensation study review. So I included it in the memo, kind of the general timeline as I foresee. As you remember, we sent out a request for qualifications for doing a compensation study for the various employees across the city. And council has expressed that they would certainly like at least one of you to be involved kind of in the process. And on May 23rd, all of the proposals are due from interested parties. And so I was wondering, I guess, if a council member would like to be involved in the process of reviewing those with Robin and I, to bring those back for a general recommendation to the rest of the council.
Why would it just be one?
We can certainly do more if you would like. I just, without trying to create a super giant group, like one was my thought of, then can review and then speak to the council of the process, but I think we'd certainly like to have two. If we get more than two, then it opens up the whole process to the public.
Yeah, we don't need, I understand that. I just was curious if there was more than one person.
No, we could certainly have two if that's what the council would like to do.
I'd be happy to sit on that.
You need that in action?
I mean, probably just general agreement from you guys or how we'd like
Yeah.
to do that.
I'd agree to appoint, Sean to it.
So is this just getting down to the final person and the council approves the selection? Or is it getting down to 2 or 3 and the council makes a decision on?
So I would generally see this as we've collected, let's hope that 5 people submit, that this group will kind of look through them and say, okay, these are what we got. This is the one that we'd recommend certainly going with. So it would be making a recommendation for someone for the council to approve.
Okay. I'm fine with if Sean's interested in doing it.
I am too.
Anybody else? Maybe Dwayne.
Sold.
All right.
All right, yeah, I will, I guess we'll coordinate with you then over those weeks. Cause I'd likely send you copies and then we'd probably set up interview dates then for the ones that were.
Except Friday afternoons, because you're not working.
Except for Friday afternoon. Well, City Hall's closed. I'll probably still be here.
I'm kidding, John. I had to get that in there.
Saturday mornings at 6 a.m.
Perfect.
Okay.
Police Building Construction Administration approval, Josh.
Yes, I was talking with John McNamara here last week, and we realized that we have had a formal agreement, I guess, for each step of the process for them to draw plans, for them to design stuff, that sort of thing. And we had no kind of final agreement that kind of wraps up their process for kind of overseeing construction throughout the process. And so the agreement within your packet does kind of lay that out and enter into an agreement between us and them for that final portion. This is a fee that has been built into the budget, and so this isn't adding any new cost that we were not aware of to the whole process. This is just kind of formalizing that they will oversee kind of this final process for us as work happens.
I can make the motion. The staff recommends the approval for the mayor and for the city administrator to enter into an agreement with Wald to oversee the construction and administration process for the building of the police station.
Motion's been made. Is there a second?
I got a question though, quick, first, before somebody seconds. Who else could do this?
So that's a solid question. I suppose we would go out to architecture or engineering firms and put bids out. I know this is something that I believe we enter into every year with SEH, Matt can correct me if I'm wrong, to do it for our street projects instead of the ones that design it. And our city engineer, we also just enter into them to oversee construction. So you certainly could go out to bid and try to find engineering or architecture firms that would be willing to, I guess, oversee the construction of the project.
You know, we just talked about doing our due diligence with our auditing team and whatnot. I just, it seems like this is all wrapped up in a nice little bow for Wold, and I still have serious concerns about the total cost of the project. I think it could have been done for less based on just talking with some subcontractors that had the ability to look at the documents, the building documents and whatnot. And they've certainly made enough money off of this deal. And I don't know, maybe there's somebody that's just as qualified that can do it for 10% of the $8 million or whatever, instead of construction administration is 20% and bidding is 5%. I mean, it's a $140,000 contract. We're going out with a RFP for our auditing firm, you know, just a second ago for a $60,000 contract. And this is $140,000.
I understand your concerns. Wold has been involved in, you know, certainly dollars have been spent to get through each phase of the project. And it shouldn't necessarily be a given that they would follow through on the construction portion of it at that cost. Instead of going out for a formal RFP, I don't know if we're required to do that. If we could maybe contact our SEH and ask them what they would charge for that construction phase, because we know them, we've worked with them, we have a good relationship with them, and just see if they can provide the same services for lesser dollars.
Certainly possible. I guess my big recommendation with going with Bold is that they did design it, they know the project and kind of.
And they gave us a reduction in didn't they give us a reduction in their cost?
No.
No, it came
Because
in
the
under bid.
bids, yeah, the bids came in less than Wold had projected.
And that's the thing that bothers me the most, is that everything's a percentage of, I mean, right off the bat, the larger this project is, the more fees they collect, because it's all a percentage. And it just doesn't seem, it doesn't pass a smell test with me. I don't like it. But I do like your idea, Maggie, if we could run it by SEH, maybe they can do that. Maybe that's outside of their scope. Maybe there's other people, other architect firms that do this, that we could throw an inquiry out.
I think, to your point, it's worth taking a look at.
My opinion is we did do due diligence by selecting Wold throughout for the whole process, and it was transparent from the beginning. And obviously, the size of the project, the percentage is based on that. It's more money, the bigger the project. It's not something new to this or new to us. I don't understand how we would not approve for the bidding, since the bidding to occur already, so.
The bidding has already happened, yes.
Right, yeah.
Right.
This has kind of been an understanding, and it would almost seem to be more of a slip up of the administration of it than, because Wold is basically sitting there without an agreement to get paid for the work they've done, is where we're sitting today.
On the bidding, yes.
And I'm not comfortable with that, but, so. As far as the fee, I don't know that we're gonna get I don't know the answer. I'm not saying this is one way or the other, but there are or synergies when we would have Wool do it instead of someone else doing it. They obviously have to bid on it based on trying to get familiar with the project and the materials and the specifications and all of that. Maybe we can get a fantastic bid, maybe not. I don't know.
Maybe I need to clarify, but as far as the bidding, because the bidding has been done and we've selected a contractor, it was just the final phase of the construction administration.
Maybe I'm misunderstanding. I thought it was for bidding and construction.
No,
I said
that is
bidding
what the
because
agreement-
it's still listed as not being crossed out here.
Yeah, so, yeah, the agreement here is for bidding and construction administration. It sounds like Maggie is talking about
Just
just
the
going
final
out for the
phase.
construction administration.
yeah.
Yeah, and I agree
Not
with that.
agreed to
'Cause
pay for the bidding yet, so we're on the same
Yes,
page.
yeah, pay for the
Correct.
bidding, yeah.
Have not,
The 5% will be paid for because that's done,
Yes,
yes.
yes.
It's the
Because they-
20%.
not as of now, it isn't.
It hasn't been paid, but I'm saying
Hasn't been
it's
agreed to.
okay to agree and pay to the bidding because they saw it through our final selection of.
Right.
So they're, in my opinion, they're entitled to that.
Right.
And I'm a little confused on the bidding part. What exactly did they do in the bidding process? Because it really went through an entirely different firm that collected the bids, right? You're not, that's not Wold, that, do you,
No, yeah, so I mean, what happened is they basically prepare all the documents, they advertise, they answer questions that people may have for it.
oh, that isn't done on your,
It's a different bidding.
it is, okay.
That's
Yeah.
for the construction project versus the bonds.
Okay, so you just do the bond parts
just
of it?
do the bonds.
The,
We don't-
once that money is, okay, totaled, okay, that explains it
They
then.
would have drew up the plans, drew up the specifications.
Right, that's all paid in
Out
here,
there.
design, development, construction documents. The bidding was my only question. I kept getting it confused with the majority of the work that was being done through the bonds.
Oh,
I wasn't sure what their process was, or if they just get to collect 5% because it's going to bid.
No, yeah, they're doing all the construction bidding stuff while Ellers did all the finance stuff on the other side.
Yeah.
All right, well, then
there-
that's been
yeah.
done.
Yeah, and there can be a lot of work during the bidding process, especially if there are a lot of questions from prospective bidders, you know, so, no.
So, to Maggie's point, yes, it would just be the construction administration, the remaining 20%. So it probably wouldn't be a total of 140, because that includes the 5% of the, so it's in the 125 range or whatever. Maybe a little less, or a little more.
Josh, do you see any problems this would pose if we would not approve the construction administration portion of it?
I don't necessarily see any problems. Admittedly, this is the first large construction project that I've been through. Maybe Matt would foresee some problems having been through this. I guess at this point, like you'd stated, there are certainly synergies involved in, I think, having the person who designed it be the one who then also oversees the construction of it. But if the council, I guess, votes to do some sort of bidding process, or I would have to get with Scott to see what exactly we're required to do, or are we required to advertise and have public hearings like a lot of other bidding processes. I guess at this point, the project is slated to start that first week in June, and so I don't know what kind of advertising requirements would need to take place, I guess, through the bid process off the top of my head.
You know, it just seems like this is gonna gum up the works on, all the work on this has been done already.
But it's 20% of the 7.8 million? Does that mean?
So you take 7% of 8 million, and then take 20% of that number.
Okay. Yeah,
You get 112,000.
okay.
Any other discussion or questions? Any action or entertain a motion of any sort?
Well, I would like to make a motion, first of all, to approve the cost for the bidding at 5%, since that process has been completed, but to maybe get a second opinion on the final phase. And that 20%, I mean, the cost of the project could go up or down, so it's not necessarily a fixed dollar, right? So if
I'm sorry, the cost
the
of the
cost
project,
could go up or down,
cost of the project?
With
Yes.
change orders
yeah,
and
change
whatnot.
orders and things of
Oh,
that nature, so.
Not, I mean, it's conceivable, but we have a firm price contract.
Yeah, so
it's
with this
not
one,
a-
it would be locking in, this is basically the price we pay with reimbursables, which tend to be gas. And they kind of lay that out here, that they, up to a certain amount for reimbursables. But yes, this would be, locking in basically construction management contract for $112,000.
If we spend another 200,000, I don't believe that number would go up.
That is correct.
But it says based on a fixed fee of 7% of the cost of construction, so.
But that was how they arrived to the amount of 112,000. It's very similar to, if you go all the way back to the very beginning of the project, they set up their fees based on that. I think the initial amount was $10 million. It then kind of rose, but those fees never changed. They kept it based on that initial proposal of $10 million. And so,
Okay.
this would basically be, and if this were approved, it would be entering into a contract, for construction management of $112,000.
Okay, so they're just saying the
They're
cost of construction is $8 million, and so even if the cost of construction goes up because we hit some snafu or the cost of construction goes down, they're still entitled to that.
That is correct. They're just kind of explaining how they got to that number.
The cost of construction would not go down.
I'm sure not, but, you know, I mean,
The cost of construction can only go up if we do a change order that we agree to.
yeah. Well, but conceivably, it could go down if we do a change order to change something that would
I'm
bring the
sorry,
cost
that's
down,
true.
so.
But yes, this is basically just showing their work. So
Yeah.
that way you don't say, how
Okay,
did we get
I
to
understand.
112,000? They're saying
understand.
this is how they got there.
And how long is the construction plan to take, weather permitting, you know?
Tim's gonna correct me if I'm wrong here. Is he still out there? He is there. Was it 10 months? They're expecting it to take about 10 months' time.
Okay,
So if we start in
So-
June, wrap around to next spring, February, March.
I'm sorry, can I ask a question? I know I'm just sitting here. Can I ask a question?
we're not
That
open.
would be up to the chair.
We're not open.
I'm sorry, I can't at this point, but
Okay, based on that and based on a 10-month project, I'm okay with 112,000.
So you wanna change your motion?
I will change my motion,
Could you-
yes, and thank you for the clarification, I appreciate it.
Cause then I can vote for it if you change it.
So, I will make a motion then to approve, the construction administration approval with Wold through both the bidding and the construction administration portions of the project, based
Second.
on the fixed bid.
Whoops, second.
a motion's been made and second. Any other questions or discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Budget timeline.
Yes, the rest of this is just diving into miscellaneous. There's really nothing we're looking for approvals. Budget timeline, that was just, it feels like just yesterday. We took care of that. I know Robin and her staff have already been working on the budget for over a month now. Have started working with department heads on their individual budgets. This is just kind of laying out, some estimated timelines at this point. Certainly things can change as we get closer and we start setting up these normal meetings. That this is kind of where it was at right now. Now admittedly, this was based off of kind of how we did it last year, with trying to keep first meetings of the month short, and then having our budget meetings afterwards. If there was any desire to go back to special meetings, we can certainly look at that too. But, this is just kind of based off of last year's schedule. There wasn't. So, yeah, as we, like I said, as we get into it, we can certainly move stuff around, call special meetings and whatnot, but this is trying to reduce special meetings as much as possible.
I think for our budget, it's pretty important. If we have to have special meetings, we have to have special meetings. I don't like when we have a full docket and then rush through the most critical part of our jobs on this board is the budget. So that's just my personal feeling, because I feel like last fall, there was a lot of long meetings already that then, now we're gonna discuss the budget at the end of it, and people are tired and they just wanna get home and get out of here. So, I'm fine with having just specific budget meetings. If
Yeah,
we could do
special-
some special workshops.
Workshops,
Just focused
exactly.
on the budget and then have plenty of time to discuss it, digest it, and hopefully get some real numbers. I know that things like insurance and whatnot sometimes come in late, but we should have a,
No, I agree, a workshop, put it in a U-shaped right down here, get every one of these directors come in here, and 2 or 3 nights we can have it done.
That would be the hope.
Should be that simple, that's what we used to do, so. Get her done, Josh.
Well, I'm certainly open to special meetings, but I'm on the other camp where I prefer to have less additional meetings. But certainly, there's so many conflicts we all have, and based on the performance of the special meetings, I don't think we've necessarily had the whole council at those workshops historically. So that's where one of the challenges that I have is that we talk thoroughly about something, and if we're not all there, then we're kind of regurgitating some things, but I'm certainly open to it, but I think we have to be proactive about setting these special meeting dates and not just talk about next week. Think further ahead, because even though I'm retired, I have commitments as well.
Yeah, and based on this schedule, I'm already gonna be missing 3 of them, because I'm gonna be gone
So,
for a month.
and I will be too in this time frame somewhere, so.
Okay. Okay, yeah, I will, work to see if we can maybe come up with a special meeting here or there. Especially in the maybe especially in the beginning, Sean, where you're, I mean, in theory, our largest conversations will be those first meeting or two as we're hashing through most of the stuff.
I think that'd be great if we started with the budget, but usually we work our way through the consent agenda and then all
Well,
the
no,
other stuff.
I mean, in theory, our biggest budget meetings will be that first
Oh.
meeting or two as we kind of work out the biggest questions. And then kind of get the most information thrown at us, and then hopefully every meeting afterwards gets shorter and shorter as you have less to talk about, but.
Is there more flexibility? I mean, I know, Sean, you have the hardest time because you're
No,
time
that's okay.
schedule, but
No, I can make it work. I mean, it's an important part, so.
I mean, you can't do it at 4 o'clock as an example, or?
I could theoretically, I have a flexible schedule, but the thing that I'm most concerned about is that we go through an entire normal city council meeting, and then at the end, now we wanna talk at the budget, and it's 8:15.
Got it.
And, you know, Rick wants to smoke, and I'm tired, and Maggie's gotta feed the dogs, and whatever else, you know, so I mean, you know,
Okay,
so then we don't do
Alright,
Okay,
our due diligence, so, there.
Okay, nope, other than that, I guess, like I said, the rest of that's just kind of FYI information, including kind of talking about where the code is currently at. I know as you guys have discussed, we got the kind of the Unified Development Code is working through the process, as when, chickens have kind of been certainly pulled out of that and are kind of fast tracking, to get that code both potentially discussed and or written faster than the rest of it. Should that end up getting put into the code, that'll just get codified now and then just moved into the code when the rest of that gets done. But that update is certainly in your packet and you can read about it, and otherwise it is meeting minutes for, Planning Commission and Utility Commission. That should be it. Other than that, I think it's just around the horn.
okay, Rick, do you have anything?
yes, I do, so, Tim and Matt, are you gonna work with Jacqueline? Alright, cool, then I'm done.
So that, we don't need to discuss that, that's been worked out?
Yeah,
I'm not sure, that was a
Jackie,
pretty
are you
brief
okay?
and
Or did you-
short,
Yeah, I'm sorry, I was gonna ask if I could leave the meeting, I didn't know if I could leave the meeting before it's adjourned, I don't wanna get arrested.
no, you can, well, you probably are gonna get a pair of handcuffs,
Wish I could
okay,
leave the
Jack?
meeting,
I'm
right?
sorry, I didn't wanna interrupt the meeting, but I think I have to go, but,
wow, we have. quite
Yes,
a-
you are dismissed.
okay, I can. I didn't know how formal this was, but I didn't wanna interrupt, but that was my question, if I could leave.
All right, get out.
Yes, and if you ever attend future meetings, you are allowed to come and go as you please.
Okay, I didn't know if there was like,
Yeah, there's a penalty.
okay,
All right,
thank
thank
you
you.
so much.
You must have quite a reputation here at the city. And just to clarify, what are we doing as a response to Jackie's concerns?
Yeah, I think both me and Tim have talked to Jackie over the last couple of years about parking concerns. Even Jackie said earlier that we did have it all squared away about 2 years ago. We had St. Wentz talking with all their staff and their parents that to make sure that they use the west side of the road and that teachers make sure they use the parking lot. Even Jackie said that first year was great. They didn't have any issues, and then they had a lot of changeover at St. Wentz, the new principal, a bunch of new staff members, and it all got kind of crazy again where they were all using the east side of the road. They had a bunch of new parents. So we met with St. Wentz about 2 months ago. And at that time, Father was sending out emails to all of the parish members and staff members and parents that please do not use the east side of the street. Please make sure you use the west side, and teachers make sure you use the parking lot. Even Jackie said it got kind of better there for a while, but it's still every once in a while they have some hiccups. So we're gonna talk with St. Wentz again. We're really trying to avoid putting no parking on the east side. That's very beneficial for all the residents that live on that street. Like I was telling Jackie earlier, you cannot, if you put a resident only parking, that means if you're a resident of New Prague, you can legally park there. So it's not just a resident in that block, it's any resident in New Prague can park in an area that's posted resident only. So we really want to make sure we can try to keep that open because it is a state aid road and it's 38 feet, it's plenty wide. But that doesn't give anyone right to park in someone's driveway. So I think just talking to her briefly that she's gonna contact the police a little quicker instead of waiting a couple hours after the incident happens. I'm gonna deal with St. Wentz a little bit more, and obviously Tim will too, just talking to Father to make sure those emails are being sent out. And also remind them again to send them out again. We get them my kids go to public school, we get those 2 or 3 times a year. I think Tim even says he gets them still. About middle school drop-off, middle school parking, where you can and cannot park on public streets. We get it at Ravenstream where my daughter goes to school. So talking with Father, he's very supportive of, like, yeah, let's get this fixed. And he even apologized many times, like, yes, my teachers need to use the right parking. So no, we are well aware of her concerns, and they are concerned, so we are working on them.
Just for the sake of stewardship too, don't make it so that our next councils suffer. I mean, we don't wanna set a precedent by putting no residential. I mean, that don't even make sense.
No, it isn't. That's why
That's where she
that's
was
the
going.
last resort, and she knows that. And
Alright, cool.
Yep.
My answer to her was get a hold of the cops sooner.
Yep.
Sean?
The punch list, Matt, did you say that was gonna start this week or next week? I just wanna let them know. Or-
Yeah, it's supposed to start this week.
This week, okay.
Technically, it was supposed to start last week, so they got a weekly update a week and a half ago saying it was supposed to start last week because the contractor told me it was going to.
Okay,
Long story short, it's now supposed to start this week.
okay, all right, I just was gonna let them know, so I just wanted to make sure I had that.
Yep, and he should have got a weekly update on that.
Okay. Thank you.
And I don't have anything this evening.
Josh? Robin? Bruce? Tim?
Just one thing real briefly, I did work with MnDOT and the Legion again for the Memorial Day Parade that'll happen on Memorial Day this year, so just so you're aware of it, the road will be closed from Central to the park and usually takes about 15 to 20 minutes. It doesn't fit our large assembly permit structure because there's just not enough people that attend it, so it's a very quick event, but it's all been planned and scheduled, so it's all ready to go.
and I should have asked this, I guess, earlier, but I think the reporting of vandalism at the park, and I thought your communication mentioned that the camera is going to be. So where are we at with developing a policy for that?
So there's two different types of cameras. There are the ALPRs, the license plate readers, and then there are just the, essentially they're a live feed camera. So like just a monitor, like a security camera that you would have at a grocery store or a bank or anywhere else you would go. I'm kind of struggling to hear back from the county attorney on the license plate readers at this point. So that conversation is coming with him, and then when the cameras go into the parks, the live feed cameras are covered under we already have a surveillance policy for that.
Okay.
It covers similar to like the ones at City Hall and our buildings that have cameras already. So there's one in place for that already.
So you could install one at Memorial Park already if you're ready to.
And we did buy some signs that indicate that this area is under surveillance, so, Matt has those. I don't know that they haven't gone up yet. We're waiting for, Flock to let us know when those cameras are going up, and then those signs will go up as the same day.
Then maybe, Matt, you're gonna mention this, are we improving the vandalism, or is there a lot of repair that has to be done in that bathroom, or?
Yeah, Memorial Park got pretty bad, where there's a few items that still have not been fixed. Yeah, it was bad. That's all I'll say. I mean, it had two guys for half a day that worked on it, and not all the items are fixed yet. But I will say, if we had flock cameras up there, 80% of that would all have been caught on camera.
Was the water continuously running there then, and after the damage, or?
No, they just knocked the sink completely off the wall where the water line was still hooked up, but we still had to redo all the plumbing. Besides the water line, we had to redo the plumbing for the sewer and also put a new sink up. That was minor compared to the rest of the damage. That part of that incident was minor.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very disheartening. We have a very nice, the park board purchased a very nice drinking fountain that they somehow just pretty much tipped it over. So we have it temporary standing up, kind of. It still works, but it's not secured properly. They knocked over just random signs that are concreted 3 feet into the ground, and they somehow were able to push them completely over. So obviously, I would say multiple people were part of it. I didn't know you could even flush half the stuff they put down these toilets, so that took quite a while. We had to take all the toilets off because they pushed everything in, so we had to actually pull stuff out of the below concrete surface. I've said it 1,000 times. I mean, I was a kid. I've done dumb things. I don't know how this could at all be enjoyable to any kid, but they have gotten more creative over the last 3 years when it comes to vandalism, which is really sad to say, but the vandalism we see in the last 3 years is nothing I've ever seen in the 24 years of being with the city. And that's not a good, it's very mind-blowing sometimes. So the cameras, I think, in my personal opinion, are a great thing that we got to stop some of these kids from doing this and get the word out there that there's cameras out there that are stopping them and then punishing these people. So.
And I forget, did the Veterans Memorial, did they figure out a way to do cameras there or not? No?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
The actual memorial,
Yeah.
it'll catch, the placement it'll be part of it, and they're able to zoom in. So the only problem is facing the direction it is. I think some of the memorial pillars will probably block some of that view if you come in from the north.
Mm-hmm.
So anything on the north side of those pillars could be tough to see, but anyone that would enter there from the park, you would probably capture.
Let's hope homes in that area have cameras on their doorways.
Aren't the bathrooms locked at night, or did this happen what time of day did this happen?
It happened overnight, but bathrooms don't get locked until, I'm just gonna say roughly between 10 and midnight.
Who does it?
We,
Department does
Please.
for us.
we close them and they're open till 11, so we try to close them as close to 11 as humanly possible, so.
And had it been closed that night that it was damaged, was it locked up?
Half of the damage went
Or
to the
did they
cabin,
take the
but-
door off,
No, it happened before the police department.
locked up?
Yep. But you know, it's dark at 8:30 already, so.
Right.
There's plenty of time for bad things to happen or in the dark, between 8:30 and 11, 12 o'clock, whatever time it got locked up that night.
Matt, anything else?
Is there we're gonna get, information for Brian, his deal from Scott?
I've already set up my meeting to talk with Scott tomorrow morning.
Okay. All right, does that work for you, Brian? Good.
Anything else? Entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Motion made second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed. Thank you.
Do we have to write which type of shirt this time?
So, guy shirts are right here, basically, I know last time we did it, we did some short sleeves, so
Did I do
we
that?
had them pick out we had the ladies downstairs who are more stylish than I am, pick out a long sleeve option. So if you like a long sleeve, these are the three colors options.
When you say short sleeve,
Who's
you mean a
collecting it?
polo shirt?
She said just leave it in.
Oh,
You mean a polo shirt?
Well, yeah, I think last time we did this, was it 2 years ago?
it was a dress shirt.
We had like a polo shirt option. So you can-
What, is that white? Is that
It's like a slight.
I didn't know if it was like
Slate.
slate?
Dirty white. This is what happens when I don't wash these white shirts, it's just white, so when I wash them with color, it's dirty white.
trying to keep my ear open for it, I haven't seen anything,
Yeah.
so.
I will give you a call.
There, I put slate.
Website and you can.
Yeah, I'm just curious, I mean.
Oh, it's not there.
Oh,
So I didn't know
okay.
if like.
Yeah, I don't know. Who sits on that?
Can you shred this for me?
Yes.
And I wrote slate on there, so.
Okay, I just knew you were calling it a little bit closer.
I think
Not that,
want this
not that
color?
closely, I mean, I'm aware of
And then
the,
if things
that's why I
don't, you
asked.
don't think about it.
yeah,
Talking about them.
I